It's an exciting time here at Hole in the Wall. We are celebrating our 500th Google review. We are excited here. We actually invited the technician who got that 500th review, Zane DeMent, on the podcast today to kind of talk about his experience through working here at Hole in the Wall for as many years as he has. It's our first field technician on the podcast, so I can't wait for you to hear it. Please like and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill DeMent, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, how's it going?
Fabulous. We hit an amazing landmark in the company, a milestone. And this podcast is a special podcast because we get to celebrate our 500th review.
That's really big, you know it?
Give yourself an applause. 500 reviews on Google. We have over 890 something platform wide on all platforms.
You know, and they're all honest reviews. We never paid anybody to give us one. We never bought a review. We earned every last one of them. Yeah. By executing the 3 C's.
It's funny because we posted it on LinkedIn the other day, and our ambassador contact, he's like, hey, well, what service did you use to get these reviews? I'm like, we didn't use a service.
Mm-hmm. It's called bootstrapping. It's called earning it.
It's called do a good job and ask your employees to ask for reviews.
Absolutely.
And incentivize them. If something happens nice, give them a bonus. So what's neat is that we are going to read the review online, but this review, the technician who's the lead technician on the job happens to be one of our long employees, Zane DeMent. And so, Zane, you are now first field employee to be on the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. And full disclosure, Zane is Bill's oldest son. I love that we have our children working in it.
I enjoy that too.
Yeah.
I find that very rewarding. And I love to see that they're succeeding.
Yeah, doing a fabulous job. And so it's exciting that we got the 500 reviews. I always kind of like look at it and go, well, listen, we did 1,900 jobs last year. Why don't I get more reviews? It's hard to get a review.
Yeah.
I mean, we get 0.1%, whatever the statistic is. People want to say good things, but going the extra effort to actually logging into Google or Facebook or wherever,
right.
It's an effort. Yeah. So you've been here a long time. I mean, like when you were a kid in high school, you were working weekends or summer breaks and stuff. So our system has you in at January of 2016, first time you were in our payroll system.
So that's
I would have been middle of my 11th grade year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've been here from kind of the beginning, and now you've worked with a bunch of leads. You've worked underneath a lot of good people and not so good people. I'm curious. In the times that you've been, because you started as a helper, you started as just a grunt, nobody, and you worked your way up. It wasn't like you had any kind of silver spoon because you were the owner's son. You had to work your way up, and we weren't easy on you.
No, I would argue harder than on most.
Yeah, we were tough on you.
Yeah,
and I think it paid out.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
And then we had a little bit of a different system. Zane, now we try to get them in, get them trained, get them up to speed and get them out as soon as possible. But I think how long was the internship that you basically
about 4
served?
years. I was working as just a technician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you were kind of going through the apprenticeship style program years ago.
Really paid his dues.
Yeah. And frankly, we were still learning, I mean, we've had a few failures as a lead with leads and such. So you got to see the experience of what not to do by leads who...
Yeah, well, everyone has something to teach you. They can show you what to do or they can show you what not to do.
Right, absolutely. And that's a good one. We make a note of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me, on your day-to-day, what's your day-to-day like? What are you doing? You show up here at 7 a.m.?
Around 7, yeah.
Uh-huh. And so I'm sure you've already looked at the previous day. You've looked at the job for the next day. So walk us through what you're doing?
We'll take a look at the job and see what's going on. If I need to contact helpers or technicians and let them know what time they need to be at the shop. If it's a good distance away, we'll let them know probably, more like 6:30. So that gives us plenty of time to get the truck set up in the morning, make sure we're all cleaned out from the day before, which we should be doing the night before, but sometimes that bleeds over into the next morning. So we check what materials we're going to need. We load up at the shop. And then if anyone needs to, go to the gas station real quick, grab a coffee, whatever it may be, we leave with plenty of time.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at your jobs, I categorize the type of job we do in 3 different categories. One is like the hit and run. You're doing 3, 4 jobs a day. The smaller holes, the doorknob holes, the smaller leaks that create drywall damage. And then I look at the jobs, which you really started thriving at a few years ago, which were those 1 or 2 day jobs where you're going in and you're removing and replacing a garage ceiling. That's a 2-3 day job at best.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're doing a flood cut, And then obviously we have those longer jobs where you can be on the job for a week. Now you are doing some of those now too, those longer 3, 4, 5 day jobs.
So my average job is going to be 3 to 4 days currently, with the occasional 1 to 2 day. And then sometimes on Friday we'll have those shorter days. So it'll just be a quick hit and run or a cleanup from the last week, something that got missed. And then we'll just go take care of that on a Friday.
And that's not just you, right? You'll have help on those.
Yeah, on the
size
larger jobs, they'll add help as needed.
Yeah, so we'll have helpers. So at least you're not by yourself. The interesting thing about reviews is that the more jobs you do, the more chances you have at getting a review. So if you're doing those hit and run jobs, then you have maybe 1 or 2 more chances, or maybe 4 or 5 more chances to get someone to give you a review. So that's kind of why I think this review is so sweet, because you don't get them that often because you're doing these longer jobs, as opposed to if a hit and run technician's doing 15 jobs a week, you're doing 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's just touching a lot more people.
He's touching more
there
people.
are the same amount of days in a week, and you've just got that many days to make a good impression with that same customer. So
Absolutely. So do you think about reviews when you're starting the job, or do you just do the job the best you can and pray for a review later?
Well, I know you guys would like for us to be review central the entire way through, but it's really towards the end of the job you start getting, okay, we've made sure, because if you're just doing it for the review, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to be doing everything the way you need to be doing it, the correct way, making sure everything is going to turn out properly for the homeowner. And then the review is just something you ask for at the end because you've already done all the steps. Because that's just what we do. Mm-hmm. We do it the right way. We do it right the first time. There's no monkey business. There's no worry for the homeowner. We show up, we do the job. It looks fantastic. Hey, if you like the work, leave a review for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that was one of the questions we were going to ask you. It was like, what is your process when it's time to, ask the customer for a review? Obviously, you're probably taking payment, you're cleaned up, they've inspected the job. What are you saying to them? What are you doing to kind of?
So we have our review cards. I don't know if you've mentioned that on here before, but basically we put all the names of all the technicians that were there on the job. We write the date also because it mentions on there our 1-year warranty, so that they've got that date as well.
Right.
It lets them know what day the project was completed. And I do a quick walkthrough with them to make sure that they're happy with everything after I've already, of course, done my walkthrough with everyone else. We do a walkthrough with the homeowner, and they take a look at everything. And once they're satisfied, hand them the review card. Hey, if you're happy with the work, all of our names are on here. If you leave a review on Google or on Home Advisor or any of those type of places, it really helps us out. I've heard Mike Elliott say it before, this is a review-based society that we live in.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a company or for hiring or going to a restaurant or whatever it may be, you're always reading the reviews.
Yeah. And frankly, people look at our reviews on a daily basis. And so we actually consider it part of our marketing budget, because if you get a review with your name on it, we give you a bonus, some sort of gift card of some flavor.
Yeah, well, that review is designed to give the company credibility. Mm-hmm. So if you have a lot of good reviews, people have confidence that you can do a good job, and that helps drive business and the bottom line revenue for a company.
And caring about your customer is important. And so people want to know that you're going to care about them. Listen, construction is hard, and there's a lot of handymen and just one-off people who may or may not answer the phones, or referrals from somebody else. And so you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. And a review is part of that plan. And frankly, Google ranks you based on a number of factors, review being one, and engagement, and obviously website and stuff. So the reviews help us in many, many ways as a company to kind of keep that boost going. Because God forbid you get a bad review with your name in it, it tends to hurt.
Yeah, and they're so powerful. I don't know if you remember, James, but years ago, we were approaching 100 reviews. And I remember saying to you at the time, once we hit 100 reviews, we will have officially buried our competition. That's the way I felt about it and how passionate I was and the company was at that time. And one of the other review milestones that stands out in my mind is when we completed a job for our dentists at his office. We did a ceiling restoration for him, and his office left us our 300th review.
Right.
Do you recall that?
I do, yeah.
And I think Zane might have been part of that too. He was, I don't know if he was leading, but he was certainly on that crew.
Yeah.
But they're so powerful. And I know that we teach our crew here at Hole in the Wall, as well as our franchisees, that even asking for a review from the customer is your reward for having followed the 3 C's, covering, completing, and cleaning up the job. That gives you the right, that gives you the platform to ask a customer, would you mind to say a few kind words, about me online?
Yeah. So in your years that you've been doing this, there's got to be a couple stories in there. Now go through your Rolodex, make sure that it's appropriate. But, do you have any missteps over the years that you learned from that you recall, or when you're training a new helper? Don't do that because I made that mistake, here. And then I'm going to ask you about the wins too. So
Sure. I mean, well, on any type of job that we do, there's any number of things that can just go wrong that you have no control over. If there's dust in a spot on the ceiling, you did a popcorn scrape area, you didn't know it was dusty, you sprayed some new popcorn, you walk back in 5 minutes later, that popcorn's sitting on the floor. That's happened a few times. So you go outside to clean off your equipment and there's part of the ceiling, just the texture's on the ground.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So you respray that 3 or 4 times before you figure out what's going on. Normal paint, most people don't know, but most popcorn ceilings that they sprayed back in the day when they were installing new install popcorn, they didn't bother to paint it because it all dries white, so they figured, save the paint.
Yeah.
If you do a stain repair and you don't stain block the area before you put the popcorn back up, that's a waterborne stain that will now come through that new popcorn you just put on.
Yeah, because popcorn's wet.
Yeah, that
Popcorn's
stain
wet,
will
so that
migrate
water
right through.
travels, that stain travels right through and shows, and it looks like you've done absolutely nothing when the thing dries. So now you've got to paint the entire ceiling, or you've got to spot paint it and hope that that's going to look all right.
Right.
But you pick up a trick or two here or there. You learn that you can prime the ceiling first, then put your popcorn, then that'll dry to the correct color. So we had a few of those where, we did a patch and the homeowner walks in and I know everything is solid because I did the work, and they go, "What? You've been here for 3 hours. The stain is still right there."
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah. So one of the things that I like about your process is you're always looking at new ways to kind of innovate, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously we train you. There's good, and you've been doing it so long that you know a lot of the tips and tricks. But I remember there was one time you sent me a video, and it's on our training portal now. It's as a pro tip, where you just I know when you're doing you were doing a knockdown ceiling match, but you were critiquing the way the edges of the knockdown. Yep. Now listen, the average homeowner is not going to understand this.
Not at all.
When you get an 8 to 10 foot ceiling, you're not looking at the edges of the popcorn or the knockdown blob, but the care that you used, and then you used this technique, and feel free to elaborate on what you were doing, just so it would blend even that much better, right? So what was that again?
So it was a paint same day job. So drywall mud, average drywall mud, bucket mud compound, which is what we use for our texture, takes 24 hours to fully be dry, cured, and set up ready for paint. But that's not really realistic for a paint same day that you need to be in and out of in 2.5 hours. So we use a 45-minute fast set compound, but it doesn't really behave the same way when you knock it down as that all-purpose mud does. So you spray it on, you knock it down, and the edges are looking really sharp. And no one's going to notice, but they're going to see it and not know why it looks different. They won't be able to pinpoint why it looks different. They'll just know it doesn't match. So you let that stiffen up a little bit because it's a quick setting mud. It doesn't have to be dry. You just let it stiffen up a little bit and go in there with a wet sponge around those edges over. Matches perfectly.
Just a light brush to kind of knock those hard edges down.
You throw a fan on it and you can paint that same day. once that's dry, because it'll take another hour after that to dry, and you're good to paint it.
Have you ever had a project where you were done, and this may happen multiple times, so forgive me if I'm being stupid, but have you had a project where you worked hard on it and then the project was done, and then I call them beat your chest moments, where you're just like, almost like pride without being negative, not a negative connotation, just like, I'm very proud of the product we just produced. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first job I ever did that was over, I don't know if I can say monetary amount, but it was over $10,000. And it was a 5-day job, and it was just me. Not just me in terms of only me on the job, but just the whole thing was on my shoulders.
Right.
I had my helpers. I had a couple of technicians that came to help throughout, but there was no boss above me on site. That was the biggest job I had ever ran, and we were taking it from popcorn to level 5, which is dead smooth.
That's one of the toughest things that we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It involved a popcorn scrape and then a full skim of all the ceilings in the entire house. And then on top of that, they wanted an eggshell paint on it, which will reveal any imperfection at all. So it had to be almost level 6. Like, it had to be perfect.
Yeah.
And at the end of that week, we worked until 8 o'clock most days. The last day was probably 9 on a Friday. And that ceiling looked so good when we were done.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. That's pride right there.
Yeah, you can hear the pride.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're hole-in-the-wall drywall repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall, developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Hole-in-the-Wall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
This 500th review, when I think it was Liza from the front desk the other day pinged us early in the week to say, hey, because we've been looking for this 500th review for a few days, and it showed up. And I read the thing and I go, this is no standard review.
Yeah, it's not your standard paragraph.
This, first of all, it's 4 or 5 paragraphs. The guy has gone into some pretty good detail. And as I was just kind of looking through it, I realized that a lot of the things that we have tried to, that we are proponents of at Hole in the Wall, like integrity, honesty, craftsmanship, these kinds of they're almost old school terms, but we've tried to make them, to weave them into the fabric of this company. And this guy is seeing that being exhibited. So as a company owner, I can't tell you, Zane, how proud we are that you're doing that. And I'm sure that you weren't saying these things to this guy with words, but he saw them in your actions and he commented on them. So if you don't mind, I think let's just read it a little bit and then we'll comment on it as we go through.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the 500th review. 10 out of 10. That's what he gives you, Zane. Amazing experience and feel like the work done matched the cost. He experienced value, didn't he?
Absolutely.
I don't know that we would have been the lowest cost provider on that, but we provided the highest value, which is really what a lot of customers want. They don't always shop by price. They want the job done right, and they want to feel like they got fair treatment. Feel like the work done matched the cost and couldn't be happier. First of all, shout out to the crew, Zane, Karina, and Jameer, for the amazing work they did with my garage. And then he says in parentheses, and everyone else who stopped in to assist. So there's this spirit of camaraderie, of helping each other. We had a couple of other, Zane raised the red flag on this job. This is going to be a little bigger. And so 2 of the other technicians, I'm not sure you're aware, they kind of finished their jobs a little early that day. And I don't know how many people showed up on that, Zane.
I had 3 additional lead technicians that came to help. It was originally bid out, I believe, at a 3-day. And about noon on Monday, I was starting to think, we're probably going to be here 4 days. I'm going to need some cavalry to get it done in 4 days. There was it was plaster instead of drywall. There was a couple of variables that we didn't see.
So even though you were the lead, you and your crew, you had some help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is one of our values too, right? Is helping. Okay.
Absolutely.
So they did it. Thank you for the amazing work they did on my garage and everyone who stopped in to assist. Complete ceiling replacement in a 2-car garage. That's what the job was, right? And he explains we bought our house a few years ago with cracks in the ceiling. Turns out due to a bolt on our garage door not being secured. And that happens sometimes, right? Resulting in the ceiling sagging and cracking. Over time, the problem grew worse, in which we couldn't use the door without it scraping against the ceiling. So the ceiling is beginning to sag so much that the garage door
ceiling was
wouldn't come.
actually bowed down on top of the black rail that the garage door track rides on.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was grinding, and it almost sanded through, actually, the wiring that runs to the sensors.
Wow.
Okay, so he goes on. We all can see Hole in the Wall has great reviews, and we've really made an effort to do that, haven't we? We've made
Absolutely,
that a point of emphasis. But my experience totally matches up to the 5 stars. Thank you. I was incredibly impressed with them as individuals. Now I want to stop and pause on that, okay? This is almost a case where the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Mm-hmm. So all of the individuals that were with Zane on his original crew, all of the individuals that showed up, they all impressed this homeowner by the way they comported themselves. They handled themselves well, okay? The respect they gave me and my wife, as well as my house and my property. You know what? A home is the most expensive thing most people will ever own. It's where they live. It's where all their stuff is. It's where they're heavily invested. And man, when you show respect to that home, you show respect to that person. People eat that up.
They do. And it's like, our training, we've talked about it for years. And Bill, you came up with this slogan years ago, but it's not just a hole in the wall. It's a hole in their home. Mm-hmm. This is where they look at day in and day out. And being respectful for the home is part of our training. So we just beat into the technicians, not that we have to beat into them, but making sure that they know that we're not just here to do a job. We're here to make someone's home again.
Absolutely. Yep. And something you said to me once actually stuck out to me, and I think about it quite a bit, is that good or bad, people tend to be very emotional about their homes. And so if you're there to fix something, I'm there because something has gone wrong in this person's life, right? They've had a repipe, they have bad texture on the ceiling in a house they bought, something has gone wrong somewhere, and I'm there to make it better.
Yes.
So I can take them from a point of, oh, woe is me, despair, I've got these holes all over my house, to, wow, it looks like nothing ever happened. This looks fantastic.
Yes.
And they're on cloud 9 by the time we're pulling out. And that's what you should be shooting for every time.
Well, you know what? So many of the jobs we do require a skill set and a tool set that most homeowners simply don't have. If they could fix it, they would do it themselves. Mm-hmm. I would, and I know a lot of homeowners would, but so many homeowners just don't have those skills anymore, and they are left at the mercy of the technician who shows up. If he doesn't happen to care whether that job looks very good or not, and he's going to get paid just the same, that could spell pretty bad news for a homeowner, okay? Right. So when they have to put their trust in you, and they see that you're exceeding their expectations, you're certainly meeting them, but probably exceeding them, we would hope, they're overjoyed. And it just comes out, it just rings out in this 500th review. So he's saying, I was incredibly impressed with them as individuals, the respect they gave me and my wife, as well as my house and property, and overall, just the care they put into the work. Man, every business owner wants to hear that about their employees. I'm so proud of you, Zane. I'll tell you, not only as a dad, but as a business owner, I can't hire people. I could triple your pay, but if you don't care, I can't get this level of work out of you. You just have to care, and we're blessed and so grateful that you and all of our crew does, really, James. Mm-hmm. I appreciate them letting me know when they were going to lunch, when they were done for the day, and showing me updates as the work progressed. Well, this hits on another one of our core values, communication. He wasn't guessing, are you guys leaving? Are you guys coming back? Are you guys done for the day? Are you, you were clearly communicating to him what was going on in the process, which further instills confidence in you as a professional. That's a professional attitude. That's a professional way to go about your work. Once the work was complete, they spent time properly cleaning everything in the garage. So they're hitting the third C there, cleaning up.
Yeah, clean.
Okay. So
Arguably one of the most important C's, I would say.
yeah, absolutely. I think that people, the two things I really see in people are the first and last C,
Absolutely.
covering up. So when we go do a ceiling job, a lot of times we'll spend the first 2/3 of the day just covering things up. We're not fixing anything.
Yeah,
And then begin to do the repair. Is that your experience?
that's absolutely accurate.
Well, and if you look at our reviews, they comment so much on, they treated my house with respect. They covered it with plastic. It looked like a scene from Dexter. They left the house cleaner than it was when they got there. And listen, it's good to do a quality job, and we want the middle C to be, complete.
Imperative.
Imperative. But you can do a great job and leave a mess, and that's a bad review.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how often our reviews are ranting and raving about the covering up. Oh, the job looked great, and then ranting and raving about the cleaning up.
You hit the nail right on the head. That is exactly. So if you wrap it in a good package, people are going to be happy with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. So he says, once the work was complete, they spent time properly cleaning everything in the garage, and even saw them cleaning the path to my front door that they only used occasionally. And ultimately, I echo a previous review that was left, that they left things cleaner than when they arrived. Now, nobody said that to him. But James, that has been a part of this company. That's been a part of my experience in the painting and drywall industry since the 1980s. And the gentleman that I trained with, who I learned that from, was a painter in the 1940s. And his philosophy was, and the way he was trained in the 1940s, very old school, was you leave the house cleaner than it was when you arrived, even if you just passed the maid on the way in. So he was saying, the maid just finished and left, and now you're coming in the front door. You do a better job than the maid. And I'm telling you, if you want to win friends and influence people, if you want to make an impact on a customer, treat them and treat their property in that manner.
Yeah, and then this really echoes, because I know we're going to have crew listen to this. We're going to have some franchisees listen to this. It really is imperative that you spend that extra time to just not leave customers' homes in a mess, because frankly, it's going to pay off if you spend an extra half an hour just cleaning it just right? They're going to give you that review. They're going to refer you to their friends and family.
Yeah.
They're going to be your advocate for life. Okay. So that's the part is, I did the job, I got paid, good. Yeah, but that's not it. Okay. Because that customer now becomes your next sales tool. It becomes your next marketing agent.
That's spot on.
Yeah. So when the customer is super happy, not just like they did a good job, I recommend them, but I cannot recommend them enough. Read my review on Google. Read what I said. The truth is they care, and this is the company you want. That's like an extra level of referral. In my opinion.
Yeah. And Zane and I were talking in the pre-show a little bit about his philosophy, and maybe you want to expound on that a little bit. But when you finish a specific step, take 5 minutes.
Yeah. So just something that I noticed as a helper or just a technician when I was younger was anytime we had a go back or a warranty or something, and I would be on crew to go back and take care of that issue, it seemed like everything that we were there to fix could have been fixed previously if just a couple of seconds had been taken before the next step was moved on to. So if you've got, let's say, you put a screw in the wall, you forget to put a coat of mud on it, and then you go ahead and texture it, and then you go ahead and paint it, or you prime it, and then you paint it twice. And now you can still see there's a little indentation where that screw was. 4 steps ago, that's a 2-minute fix. Now you're at a couple of hours to get a full skim going on the whole area, because you've got to redo that whole area now.
Yeah.
And you've got to coat it and paint it and texture it and all that good stuff. So I just kind of adopted a Once we get everything covered up, well, now before we start bringing in tools, which we've got tools on a drywall truck, they're covered in dust. That's just the way it goes. Once we've got everything covered up, we bring our things in. We make sure that everything is sealed. If we're working on a ceiling area, you've got to have full containment in the booth. If you're working on a wall area, you need to have at least full floors and full walls around you covered. So you make sure that your prep area is totally sealed off. Well, now you're good to move on to your repair. And once that repair has begun, each step of the repair, the better you do each step, the easier the next step will be, and the easier cleanup will be at the end. So if you're taking time to sweep in between steps that are creating a lot of dust or creating debris or things that are in your way, that is going to make it so that you're not stepping on nails and screws, possibly on a hardwood floor. You're not going to have to worry about cleaning up because there's a hole in the plastic because you stepped on a piece of drywall and tore a hole in the plastic. That makes your cleaning step easier. The better your texture look, the less you're going to feel like you need to pile the paint on to try to hide it. Because that's as good as you do. If you notice that your texture is small, something in our brains goes, more paint will fix this. You know, professional or homeowner, that's just what you think. But as a professional, of course, you know that's not true. Mm-hmm. So the better you do each step, the easier the next step is going to be and the better your product is going to be.
So really, there's no such thing as a shortcut because you can take a shortcut, but you're just going to have to spend more time.
It's always short-term gain, long-term loss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. And essentially, you know, my philosophy was, and Zane, you were very articulate in the way you said it, but mine was finish each step, take 2 minutes, just look. Just take a minute and look and honestly assess what is the situation. I need a little more tape and plastic there. I probably need a little heavier texture there. Oh, let me inspect this. Oh, I forgot to knock down that one little area. So just taking 1 or 2 moments can save you perhaps going back, you know. Mm-hmm. One of the frustrations as a business owner is it seems like there's never time to kind of do it right the first time, but we always find time to do it again. And that's very expensive for the business owner.
Yeah, if there's a warranty, I mean, we had a whole podcast on warranties, but an extra 5-10 minutes doing it right the first time will save us an entire afternoon doing it again.
The specific job that actually kind of instilled that quick 5-minute check philosophy in me, I still remember it. We went out because the homeowner had contacted us, letting us know there was an area that hadn't been knocked down. Some texture had been sprayed, and there was a very small area in a corner that just hadn't gotten hit with the knockdown knife. And had the house been entirely prepped up and the texture still been wet and someone taken a 5-minute check, it would have been a 30-second thing to fix. But 7 hours to go back and fix it because we had to completely re-prep. And it was 2 layers of scaff, which are 6 feet high each, and it was almost 17 feet up. So it was on a peak of a ceiling. And I was noticing all this stuff because someone didn't just go, oh, that half a square foot of knockdown didn't get hit. And we're back here building a full booth, rebuilding scaff. We had 2 people out there. It took us almost 7 hours from start to finish.
So an entire day's labor.
Refix that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This could have been a 30-second fix.
And it could have been a 30-second fix. And that really made me go, okay, it's really worth it. You know, get your side light out and check everything. Get a good look at what you're doing before you move on.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you a good lead, a good teacher to the new people coming up. We've got a lot of young guys who are coming through the process now. And frankly, they have the benefit of your experience over the years and all these little tips and tricks that can help them become a better person. And frankly, you didn't have that growing up. You had less than. So I appreciate what you've done. And I really appreciate you teaching the next round of candidates and employees these same values.
Yeah, it's invaluable. All right, so here's the wrap-up paragraph on the 500th review. If you're on the fence, whether you should use hole in the wall or not, it's honestly kind of hard to look at these reviews and question it. If you want great quality work done in a timely manner with respect to you and your property, I highly recommend them. I'm sure we'll have projects in the future, and we'll be reaching out to them again.
Nice.
Man, that is terrific. Zane, I'm telling you, man, just want to say it again. I'm so proud. I'm glad you're the one who hit the 500th. It's a great milestone, but it's also hopefully an incentive to the others. Listen, your younger 19-year-old brother had review 501.
Yeah.
And 502 came in this morning.
Yeah.
So it was another new guy. So I'm really excited about this. We appreciate the value that you are to this company. We appreciate the attention to detail that you have. And we're proud to have you here as an employee. You make us a better company.
Kudos.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job. Well, I think that's it. Good job, Zane. We appreciate you. 500 reviews down. Here's another 500, Bill.
Yeah, go get the next 500,
Go get
Zane.
the next 500,
Yeah, get out
Zane.
there and get
I'm
it.
all over it.
If you get our 1,000th review, I'll buy you a cruise. All right? How about
I'll
that?
hold you to that.
Yeah, you got. Listen, you give me 1,000 reviews, you're gonna have a cruise trip.
All right, well, thanks for coming in today, Zane.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks everyone for listening.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.